is look at that list for a minute or two if you want to, and then make an estimate, your own guess. How many of those companies are going to be on the list 30 years from now? Here they are, these powerhouses. And how many would you guess are going to be on the list? Well, you know, it's not going to be all 20. It may not even be all 20 today or tomorrow.
In today's video, we are going to answer the long-asked question by many beginner investors. How do you pick stocks? Is stock picking worth the time, or should investors just buy into index funds? In this video, we're going to discuss about what Warren Buffett said during 2021 Berkshire's annual meeting, which explains the problem many face today. Before that, please hit the like and subscribe button to help the channel grow. With that, let's start the video. Warren Buffett offered a warning during Berkshire Hathaway's annual meeting this year. Buffett told listeners that investing, especially selecting tomorrow's winners today, is extremely difficult, and the odds are stacked against the common investor, using the example of how many auto businesses had failed since the early 1900s.
But that wasn't really that big of news, but and it wasn't big news that actually Henry Ford was starting the Ford Motor Company. He'd failed a couple of times before, but he was about to change the world. I mean, the auto, when you think about everything, we've got a great auto insurance company, but if there weren't any autos, we wouldn't have Geico. But it transformed the country, and Henry Ford brought in the $5 daily wage, and that was a huge thing. Assembly lines, everything, autos. That you had seen a quick glance back in 1903 of all the interstate highways, 290 million vehicles on the road in the United States. Everything about it. And you say, well, this is pretty easy. It's going to be cars. It's going to be autos.
Let's pretend we're in 1903. Buffett muses. What kind of investments does Berkshire Hathaway aim to make? With 290 million automobiles on the road in the United States and an expanding network of roadways, one could argue that the country is in a state of flux. This isn't too difficult. It'll all be about automobiles. Automobiles will be the mode of transportation. At the time, it could have looked like a no-brainer. The actuality, on the other hand, could not have been more different.
Berkshire, by accident, well, we own a company called Marmon. We bought it from the Pritzker family some years ago. The Pritzkers had built this business from many, many, many companies that they'd acquired. And the name of their company was Marmon. They owned this company, Marmon, which in 1911 had been the company whose car won the first Indianapolis 500. It also was the company that invented the rearview mirror. I'm not sure whether that was a big contribution to society, and certainly around your household. Rearview mirror, you don't want to emphasize too much, but they, the car that was entered in the Indianapolis 500, the guy who normally sat next to the driver and looked backwards to tell what the competitors were doing, he was sick, so they invented the rearview mirror. So
Berkshire Hathaway owns a company called Marmon. According to the Oracle of Omaha, the Pritzker family sold the company to the group who had built this business from many companies that they had acquired. Buffett said that this firm, Marmon, was the first company to win the Indianapolis 500 in 1911. It was also the company that invented the rear-view mirror.
Let's just assume that you decided that autos were this incredible thing, and someday there'd be an Indianapolis 500, and someday they'd have rear-view mirrors on cars. So I decided to look at the history, and I thought I'd put up the list of auto companies from over the years. Originally going to put up just the ones that were the M's so I could get them on one slide. But when I went to the M's, it went on and on and on. So I just decided to put up the ones that started with M-A. And as you can see, there were almost 40 companies that went into the auto business, just starting with M-A, including our Marmon there in the middle column. And, but in any event, there were at least 2,000 companies that entered the auto business because it clearly had this incredible future. And of course, you remember that in 2009, there were 3 left, 2 of which went bankrupt. So there is a lot more to picking stocks than figuring out what's going to be a wonderful industry in the future.
Buffett went on to say that at least 2,000 businesses entered the vehicle sector because it plainly had this fantastic future over the next few decades. However, by 2009, only 3 of these companies remained in the United States. 2 of the 3 went bankrupt after that. There's more to stock selection than identifying a profitable industry. This is just one industry example, but as Buffett explained, it shows there's a lot more to picking stocks than figuring out what's going to be a wonderful industry in the future.
Motor, Henry Ford had a few partners, and he really didn't like them, so he figured a way to buy them out. That was sort of the that was one. It was sort of the beginning of the auto finance. That's a long story. We won't get into that. But you couldn't buy into Ford Motor, and of course General Motors became the dominant company. Finally, when Henry Ford did not really make the shift from the Model T to the Model A, it did not work very well. So I just want to tell you, it's not as easy as it sounds.
Today, most people think of Ford when they think of the early days of the automobile business, but as Buffett pointed out, even Ford had its troubles. He stated that the company's transition from the innovative Model T to the Model A did not work out very well, and that Henry Ford had a falling out with several of his key partners. As a result, he needed to find out a method to buy them out in order to keep the firms afloat. Even if investors possessed a time machine and could predict Ford's future, the business remained private until 1956. This is the problem in stock picking. This is one of the most significant issues that investors encounter. It's quite difficult to find organizations that will be able to endure and thrive for the next 10 to 20 years. It's even feasible to claim that it's impossible. When we look at Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway portfolio over the years, it's evident that even the Oracle hasn't been able to consistently choose winners. He has, however, always been eager to sell failed businesses while keeping his winners. Buffett has the upper hand in this area. Another option for investors is to invest in a passive index fund and let the market handle the heavy lifting. For the ordinary investor, Buffett recommends this to be the best option for long-term wealth building. With this, I hope you guys able to understand the risk that comes with individual stock picking. It is not to say that individual stock picking is a bad idea. Even Warren Buffett built his fortune by picking stocks. But be aware of the risks that comes with it. With this, let's end the video. See you next time. Business Wisdom, signing out.